I want to start the discussion with Mike and a question regarding a potential trade. If you're the Yankees, if you're Cashman, are you looking to go get a starting caliber pitcher before this trade deadline? Is this a need for you?
Yeah, I think a pitcher would be really nice. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Joey Gallo potentially being the trade acquisition that the Yankees go after. But like you said, I think a pitcher is a better move for the Yankees. I mean, let's look at the staff. I mean, Garrett Cole is really the only reliable starting pitcher the Yankees have right now. I mean, you look at his game against the Astros, his most recent start, he does 129 pitches in 9 innings. Absolutely marvelous pitching performance from him. 3 hits, 2 walks. He's your guy. But after that, it gets really worrisome. I mean, Domingo Germán, he's not been what he's has been in the past. Jordan Montgomery is always up and down. He's not a consistent pitcher. And he's always going to float around that 4.5s in the ERA. And then after that, with the Corey Kluber injury, who was your established number 2, you're really searching for other guys. Nestor Cortez has been great for you, but he has his innings limitations. So there's a lot to look for in this team. And Jameson Taillon, you're never really sold on him. One time he looks great, but he's been very inconsistent throughout this year. He looked good in the Astros series, but he's really not been a good pitcher. He's been a 3 or a 4 at best. So there's really a lacking for a second starting pitcher, and you hope Luis Severino could be that guy. But listen, he goes in a rehab start, and then he has another injury, this time in the lower half. But there's very questions about will he even be back? And if he's back, it's going to be for the playoffs. And the Yankees aren't even sure if they're going to get there. So, yes, I think the time is now to get a starting pitcher if the Yankees are in a win-now mode. But like I've said in past shows, I don't think the Yankees should be buyers. I don't think they should be buyers because they haven't shown me anything that makes me think they are a playoff team. I mean, they looked great against Seattle. They looked great against Houston. But they still showed their flaws. I mean, you take that last game against Houston, they go into that last inning with a huge lead. Chad Green's been your guy for the past weeks, but he blows it in there. So a tough loss for the Yankees, but they're unwilling to close the door in a lot of these games this year. So it makes me worried about, are they really going to be able to contend for a wild card spot? I mean, they're 4.5 games back, but if you look at the teams ahead of them, I don't really see them eclipsing them. Now, that being said, I look at the Yankees' schedule ahead, and if they could put together a series of wins, then you start talking about making an acquisition at the deadline. In your next 13 games or in your next 15 games, you play divisional opponents 11 times, and that's the Red Sox and the Rays. So what you need to do, if you capitalize on those games and you can come out with 7 wins of the 11 against divisional opponents, then we're talking about a team that could be ready to make a play for the wild card of the division. But you haven't beat the Red Sox yet, and you're losing the season series against the Rays. So in my mind, you really need to capitalize on the divisional games if you really want to make a leap into, all right, now we're going to be buyers at the deadline, because we have not seen them beat the Red Sox yet, and they're going to be the team you're going to see down the road the playoffs. So I want to see you beat them in the playoffs before I'm willing to be buyers at the deadline.
Not to be overly dramatic for the Yankees, but this series coming up against the Boston Red Sox, the first place Boston Red Sox, will be the most important series of the year for them. It will make or break the Yankees going forward, in my estimation. I see it the same way as a fighter going into the ring for a boxing match. It's all about setting a tone. And right now, the Yankees need to set a tone for the second half going forward, because like you said, Mike, they were abysmal against Boston in the first half. 0-6 is not good. I don't care who you play. You could have played the best baseball team on earth. If you want to make the playoffs, you got to win more than 0 games. That's just a fact of life at this point. And I got news for you. Boston's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're only going to get better. Evaldi right now is our ace, Nathan Evaldi, who, 9-5, mid-3s ERA, not bad, but we're going to get Chris Sale back. Once the Red Sox get Chris Sale back and Nathan Evaldi, you'll have 2 pitchers that can genuinely qualify to go more than 6 innings per game, which is something right now that the Yankees have trouble with. Other than Cole, their pitchers haven't gone deep into games. You said that there's a possibility that Severino comes back. Is he going to be the guy that gets you over the hump? I don't know. And on top of that, the talent level that the Red Sox are utilizing right now is astronomical. I'm laughing right now as a fan of baseball because it was December and I sat down and read an article by Dan Shaughnessy, Boston Globe, who said the Red Sox are going to be abysmal. There is no hope for this team going forward. He was basically giving all of this credit to teams like the Dodgers, who weren't afraid to go out and spend money, weren't afraid to go out and make moves when necessary, and basically begrudging Boston for taking this, view of, let's put together a team that can play kind of like the Rays. And then, months later, we're sitting here in first place with guys like Kike Hernandez, guys like Bobby Dahlbeck, Alex Verdugo, who beginning of the year, no one would have said those guys will be as good as they are. And on top of that, last year, I had to listen to people say JD Martinez is washed. He had a pretty subpar 2020. This year, the guy comes back, he's playing amazingly. This is a team that's second in hits, third in RBIs. They're an offensive juggernaut. And once you get Chris Sale back, they're going to be that much better. And I'll say one more thing about how I feel about this Red Sox club and why the Yankees should be worried. They're calling up Jared Duran now. Outfield prospect, hit 15 home runs in Worcester in AAA. This reminds me so much of that 2013 team where they called up Xander Bogaerts, got a guy more reps, more experience, and look at how Bogaerts turned out. Right in that all-star game with the likes of Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge the other day. So if you're the Yankees right now, you've got to set the tone in this series against the Red Sox. You have to throw that first punch and make sure that everyone knows you're in this to win this.
Absolutely. I think to Mike's point about being buyers, maybe you could look at a Jose Barrios as an option to go pick up on the trade market, but the price just might be too high for the Yankees to stomach. One other suggestion I might make from a team that has admitted that they are going to be sellers at the deadline, maybe Zach Davies from the Cubs could be a pickup for the Yankees at the pitcher position. But other than that, I'm not really sure, besides, maybe a Tyler Anderson on the Pirates, who might be truly available for a price that the Yankees can stomach and are willing to pay for this season.